It's not just an occupation that is terrorizing people in Minnesota that live in Minneapolis and St. Paul, which they are comfortable with when the president says he's coming for retribution because they think it's Democrats who voted against the president that he's coming after.
Why would you think that? If anybody, I would think you're one of the ones they're coming after. I think Tim Walz is one of the ones. I think Jacob Frey. Why? They're not coming after Minnesotans that voted, unless, of course, you voted and you weren't supposed to. Now the net, you guys can see now the net has been cast. And let's see the fish that we bring in here. And we know they're going to try and rope in Tim Walz. You know they're going to try and rope in Jacob Frey. This one here, who's also fear of retribution, might be the other big fish in the net.
But it is all of Minnesota. When my constituents call for help, we don't ask them who they voted for, because that is what it means to be an elected U.S. representative.
You're a little angry, ain't you? You mad, bro? Why are you so upset? And everybody's sitting there clapping for her, and they know that she might be one of the ones next. It's going to be interesting if the subpoena is personal or documents. There's a term called subpoena ducis tecum, which is actually documents. And if it's a ducis tecum subpoena, then they won't have to appear. But if it's an actual subpoena of the people, ooh, this should get really good next week.
So it is appalling. It is appalling for our colleagues on the other side of the aisle to be okay for the president to carry out retribution here in Minnesota. It is appalling for our Republican colleagues to be okay for there to be cell detations in ICE for American citizens.
Huh? American citizens, unless they're the ones depositing the money or facilitating the money, I don't think any American citizens have to worry. Unless they're the ones who opened the bank accounts and did the wire transfers and showed them how to fill out the paperwork for fake daycare centers, I don't think there's many Americans that have to worry. By the way, you were casting a wide blanket and thinking that everybody in Minnesota is with you. They're not.
It's appalling for them to be okay, for there to be checkpoints in American cities where people are asked for their papers. And it is appalling for Americans to have to carry their citizen papers only to be told they are not sure if those papers are correct.
She been to an airport lately? I'm just saying. Ever since some of her people and some people did something, you know, when they did something on 9/11, you know, most of us didn't have to get strip searched to walk on an airplane. But somehow all of that's forgotten because the Somalis in Minnesota might have to prove they're supposed to be here. The Somalis in Minnesota are feeling uncomfortable because they're asked to show certain papers. I don't like having to show my driver's license, my registration, and my insurance if I get pulled over, but you know what? I have to. Why is it that Americans have to do so much? Why do Americans have to bend over and have so much documentation? My wife's in Las Vegas. She flies back in tonight. Thank God. She will be here tonight, tomorrow morning. She leaves tonight at 10 Vegas time. She flies in at 6 a.m. Florida time. But when she goes in, you know what you got to do to get on a plane. And here's your ticket, boarding pass. Here's your ID. Hey, look at your scan here. We're going to fingerprint you. Bend over. Take off your shoes. Just because some people did something a few years ago. Why is it that we can be encumbered, and as much as we don't like it, we don't stand up and scream and bitch anymore? We're like, okay, here's this, here's that, here's the other thing. I remember when you could pull up right next to the airport and wait till the person you were picking up was coming out. Nope, keep moving, keep moving. Why? Do I look like one of them? Keep moving. All right. You don't even question it anymore. Where's the cell phone parking lot? Let me just go sit. All these things that Americans have had to do, the inconveniences that we accepted. And you're concerned that these people might have to show their ID for a little while? Prove who they are? Yeah, unreal.
I don't want to curse, but those of us who escaped places like that, the one place where we thought we would never experience this is the U.S. goddamn states.
They don't arrest her. If you heard it, I was going to bleep it, but I wanted you to hear what she just said. Oh, in an open hearing with other Congress people sitting there nodding their head. The U.S. GD states. This woman is a sworn politician, elected politician of those same U.S. GD states. The same GD states that my father fought for, that maybe some of your relatives fought for, that my wife's father fought for, that my brother went to war for after he got out of West Point. That GD states. Those people who I just mentioned did it proudly. If they were alive, they'd do it again. And this monster, this complete scumbag, has the nerve to say these GD states. You know, if she were to get dragged out and hogtied someplace and by some people somewhere, I wouldn't even bat an eye. You just desecrated the same government that you have sworn to uphold. How can anybody trust anything she says? How can anybody want to be governed by her? At some point, enough is enough, Minnesota. At some point, I gotta believe there's more good people in Minnesota than bad. I gotta believe that there are people in Minnesota, if they hear that, would be, she gotta go. Let's recall her. Let's do whatever we need to do. This is not someone who's standing up for the ideals of America. No politician could ever stand on principle and say that's okay to say. No, I don't care about your freedom of speech. There is a line. I'm glad I wasn't in the room. I'd have ripped that thing off her head. Oh, you don't even know.
And we should all be ashamed that it is the United States that is allowing for this to take place, and it is being forecasted and broadcasted to the rest of the world, where people are calling and saying, are you sure this is America?
I don't give one rat's ass what other countries are saying. Why are you, an elected official of this country, worried about what other countries are saying? Where is your allegiance? Oh, that's right. You took it out of schools. This is what happens. We took it out of schools. I pledge allegiance to the flag. We took it out of schools. We took prayer out of schools, and we substituted it with this monster. The fact that she said GD states and then said the rest of the world is, they're all pissed off. I don't care what the rest of the world thinks. I'm an American. Why would I care what they think? I don't live there. I don't have anything to do with them. I hope their people stay safe. But other than that, I don't give an F. I have not one F to give about other countries saying bad things about our country or our president.
I am ashamed, and we must do everything that we can to bring back the America we all escaped into.
I don't think you want that. Oh no, you don't want that. You don't want to bring the America back that it used to be. Because if you truly believe that, your ass would be back in Somalia walking with some dirty toes in sandals. Your ass would be back in Somalia trying to figure out which boat you're going to pirate. Your ass would be back in Somalia doing the dirty deed with your brother. No, you don't want America back. Trust me. Trust me. You do not want to see America back the way it was. Oh, no, no, no.
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic. We know that he called African nations a shithole in his first administration. We know that when he came down that escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country. And so it is not surprising that he is going after black immigrants in this country. And it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim. But what I would like to say is that most of us are citizens. On our passport, it says we are nationals of this country. We love that Minnesota has welcomed us. Many of us have not been settled in Minnesota. We chose it as a home because the Minnesota people and the state is beautiful and very welcoming. And we are going to be here regardless of what the president has to say.
I agree. I love the tweet.
They thought that, you know, they could intimidate Minnesotans, that we would react with riots. And we have shown up with compassion, with care, with real resilience, with understanding of our constitutional rights and, you know, what the rights and the wrongs are. And we've shown the country what real resistance looks like.
She was in there in some sort of congressional hearing, and that was what she said, and they applauded her. The Civil War is already happening. This is just evidence for you guys who don't realize it yet. It's already there. My legs are shaking. I'm so pissed off. And I saw it before I concluded it, and I was sitting here going, you just put me in, coach. I'm 65 years old, but put me in. Tell me, point me at her. They're destroying America, and President Trump has no other option but to tear it all down. Just bringing this entire disease temple down on itself. We got to start over. Look at this.